So, what would it be like if you could invite Jesus over for dinner? Well, did you know that you actually can? Jesus said, invite the needy to dinner. Good morning, and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about easy to remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said. And the point is to help you experience life to the fullest, the Jesus way. Today's Jesus Said comes from Luke 14, 12 through 14. But I want to start with verse 1 of Luke 14 so we can set some context and see where and when these events happened. We're reading from the New Living Translation today. One Sabbath day, Jesus went to eat dinner in the home of a leader of the Pharisees, and the people were watching him closely. Okay, so before we go on to the verses from the Jesus Said today, let's just unpack that a bit. This was a Shabbat Shalom moment. This was a big deal. There was a lot of preparation and ritual for a Sabbath event. If you've ever watched the series The Chosen or seen the musical Fiddler on the Roof, you can see some of the tradition that is still carried on today about Sabbath. And when it was Sabbath at an important person's house, everyone was trying to get the good seats because it was an honor to be invited. And so in response to all of that, this is part of the teaching that Jesus gave, Luke 14, 12 through 14. Then he turned to his host. When you put on a luncheon or banquet, he said, don't invite your friends, brothers, relatives, and rich neighbors, for they will invite you back, and that will be your only reward. Instead, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind. Then, at the resurrection of the righteous, God will reward you for inviting those who could not repay you. So Jesus said, when you put on a luncheon or a banquet. Now, understand this in context. He was at a weekly Sabbath worship experience, but this was a private party. It was a real honor to be invited. And then also consider that at least for the first couple of centuries after Christ, a gathering of believers or church included a meal. In fact, it was actually called a love feast. That is in the New Testament as well, in the book of Jude. And Jesus was saying, it's not a private party. Don't have private parties just for insiders. Invite the needy, those who don't fit in, those who can't pay you back for your generosity. So instead of inviting those that you are like and that like you and that are honored, instead invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind, because that's where the heavenly reward is. Private parties may make us feel good, but that's it. That's the only reward we get. It's temporary. But when you invite the needy to dinner, the rewards are eternal. And often we treat this command like it's optional. But Jesus didn't say every once in a while when you put on an event. He said when. And part of our core values at Today Church, one of them says, we are all about people. Everything is an outreach. Everyone has a place. And sure, we've done some outreach things. We've done some community meals, community outreaches. And, we've helped some homeless ministries, some missionaries in different places. But this command isn't about special events or special projects or special ministry endeavors. It's about a lifestyle of hospitality, a lifestyle of welcoming guests. We talk about a guest mentality rather than a visitor mentality. What does that mean? What's the difference? Well, you prepare for and expect guests, whereas visitors just show up. Are we ready for guests? Are we prepared for them? Are we inviting and expecting them? I mean, who are you inviting? If someone important was going to be at a dinner in your home and was going to be a guest, well, you would clean things up, put out the good dishes or the name brand paper plates in our case. You would do the very best to make a good impression. And Jesus said, when we do good for the needy, when we do our very best for the least of these, we are actually doing it unto Jesus. That means that Jesus could show up at any of our events. but he's probably not going to be represented by someone important. He might be represented by someone poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind. That's Jesus. That's what he said. Shouldn't guests be the VIPs? I'm always challenged by reading this. Who am I inviting? Who am I expecting? Who am I welcoming to my private little parties? Jesus said, invite the needy to dinner. How can you put that into action today? Thank you so much for listening. If this is meaningful to you, it really does mean a lot to me. Those of you who like it, share it, and comment. I really appreciate you. And I hope that you have an amazing day today. And I hope this time together has helped you live life to the fullest, the Jesus way. And remember, follow Jesus today. Love first.